Hello and welcome to Pod Popper's Place. I am Penny and today I am sharing with you some sketches from Kendra's card challenge number 18 featuring our super sponsor, Not Too Shabby Shop. The Not Too Shabby Shop sent me and some of the other designers on the design team some products to work with, including some embellishments, this wonderful ephemera pack, and there are just so many pieces to this ephemera pack. They're almost all completely different. Little cute tennis shoes, so there's different articles of clothing, some different images of girls and florals and some home items and some teacup items. So there's also these animals, just so many different things to work with. And really, I did not see any really repeats in this, so you just have so many different options to work with. So it's really a great ephemera set, and it's very spring-like with great spring colors. They also sent me two different packages of paper packs to work with. The first one is colorful linens, and it looks like linen paper and has a darker and a lighter shade on each side. And then they also sent this cottage roses set, and this has some great designs, and it's really quite a variety of different colors and images you can work with, and a lot of them really tie in super well with the ephemera that they sent as well. They also sent this sheet of different quotes, and so there's some fun ones that you can use and cut them out with different squares, or I'm going to be cutting some of them out with circles. I chose 3 different papers that I wanted to use together to work with my first sketch that I'm going to do, and I'm hoping to use maybe some of the ephemera that has the little animals on it as well. For my first card, I'm going to use sketch number 10, which has 7 different circles on the front. And I'm going to cut this little piggy out of this paper. And I'm not quite cutting it into a circle. You can see I have that slight edge cut off there. But because I'm layering so many different circles together, I'm going to be able to cover that missing portion out with one of the other circles. So I'm not concerned that it's not quite a full circle. And I wanted to get that little piggy centered right there in the middle. The other papers could be any other plain paper if you wanted, but I just wanted to use all of the beautiful paper that Not Too Shabby Shop sent me. So I am using all of their papers for everything except for my very background layer. The sketch calls for these 2 1/4-inch strips, so I cut that out of some of that pink linen paper. And for my background, I'm just going to use this 3D embossing folder on some plain white. And I do wet that down just so that gets a nice, good impression. It is quite decorative, and I will be covering quite a bit of it up, but you'll still be able to see just all those beautiful images that the embossing folder gives. And it gives a lot of texture, and I love texture on my cards. So as I start putting this together, I am going to just tell you a little bit about Kendra's Card Challenges if you are unfamiliar with it. Kendra's Card Challenges is a quarterly challenge, and so we just started our quarter number 2 for the year, and it goes from April, May, and into the end of June. And you can submit a set of 18 cards each month so that you can be entered into the prize drawings. We have prize drawings every month, as well as quarterly drawings at the end of the 3 months. To play along, you just need to become a free Patreon member at kendrascardchallenges.com, and then you will have access to all of the sketches for the challenge. You can also become a paid patron and get lots of benefits and perks that go along with that as well. To enter the challenge each month, you just need to take 1 picture of all 18 card sketches together and submit that to the InLinkz party that is available at kendrascardchallenges.com. And there was a different one for each month, and they will only be available during that month's entries. So the April one will only be available to the end of April, and the May one won't begin until May 1st. Be sure to check out the description box below also to enter the giveaway. There is a giveaway today for this hop that includes an opportunity to have a paid patron membership at the official membership level to kendrascardchallenges.com. There were only 2 sentiments that would fit in the circle size that I needed for my card, so I chose the sentiment that said, "Home is where our story begins," and that will be the center circle. Because I already have the circles exactly where I want them, I'm going to use a piece of press and seal to keep all of my circles in the proper places, except for that center one so that I can pop that up on some foam tape. If you haven't tried this trick before, it is a great way to keep everything in place when you have your layout completely done and have lots of different layers. The trick here is that you can only put glue really on the parts that are showing. So once you get everything laid down, you do need to go back in and kind of figure out what areas didn't have glue and put a little bit on the areas that are missing a little bit of that so that everything stays where it's supposed to. This is such a great layout, lots of ways to get lots of different patterns and colors on the front of your card. And I wanted to use something at the bottom there. It doesn't call for anything in the sketch, but I love the little piggies, but I already had it in the patterned paper above in the circle, so I decided to go with just a floral piece instead. I love that Not Too Shabby Shop always has different little gemstones that match the papers, and so I'm able to easily here add some of the pinks, knowing that they will blend in and match really well with the papers that I'm using. And sometimes that can be really difficult. You know, you can fall in love with some embellishments, but if you don't have papers that match it, sometimes it can feel frustrating that you can't find exactly what you're looking for. So I added those little gemstones to the front and glued it down to my card base. And I'm also going to use some of my additional little scraps that I had on the inside. So I'm just taking a little strip of the pink and I turned the little strip of the blue and white gingham into a banner and put that down. And then I'm just going to add the little piggy inside. He is kind of laying up on a couple different pieces of paper there and wasn't laying quite flat, so I did add a couple pieces of scrap paper to his backside just so that he would lay down flatter inside the card and not be bent over the other papers. And it's not really adding much dimension, so I don't think it'd be a problem with mailing that in the mail. For my second card, I'm going to use sketch number 5. It does have quite a few fishtails on it, and they aren't very deep. They're very obtuse angles. So I didn't have a punch or a die that would work to cut these, so I had to cut these by hand. So I do fuss with these quite a bit because cutting fishtails is not my favorite thing to do by hand. And because these were the angles were quite different than what I'm used to, it did quite take me a bit to kind of be happy with how I had cut those. But I do think that larger piece on the front there did have an angle cut to it as well in the sketch, but I decided I did not want to try that. So I was just going to leave the other two pieces with the fishtails as they were and leave that one alone. So I had all my pieces cut here and I'm just going to glue them all together. And I really like this sketch too. I hadn't tried this sketch yet before and I really like the design of it. I did feel like I got my banner on there a little bit crooked or not quite in the middle and I wanted to move it, but boy, that glue, it was down. So I just have to be okay with it. And that's the beauty and the frustrations, right, with homemade cards is that sometimes things get laid down the way that you didn't plan for them to be, but that's just how it is and it's okay. And I'm going to add a little bit of scrap paper on the ends of this fishtail because it is sitting up kind of on two pieces of paper. And I'm just adding a single paper on each end just so that the ends aren't going to be kind of folded down over the side. It just will sit up a whole lot nicer. And it fits really well right across the center there. And then I already cut out the other sentiment with the circle die. It did cut fairly close, so it was a little tight, but it did cut out okay. Probably would have been better with a square, but I still wanted to keep that circle design on the center there. And I am going to pop that up again with some foam tape. And then some of the other sentiments on my page, I'm gonna just have to cut those out differently than I cut these ones out with the circles. You can't use that whole sheet with circles, but there are lots of different ways you can cut them out to make it work for your project. This sketch doesn't call for anything else here. However, I wanted to use some of this beautiful ephemera and found this pretty little table with some florals on it. And so I decided to pop that up on some foam tape and put that on the front. And then I'm also going to add little teapots and a teacup onto the inside of that as well. I thank you so much for being here and watching today. This is a video hop with a playlist. It would be wonderful if you would go to that playlist in the description box and hit the play all so that you can see all of the contributors to Not Too Shabby Video Hop. These papers and ephemera are available through the Cottage Rose Spring Retreat bundle. So the Spring Retreat is in May, so you still have time to order this and participate in the retreat. So please go check out all the conditions and opportunities to join in on that retreat. That should be a lot of fun, and I'm sure they will give you tons of creative ideas on how to use this beautiful paper and ephemera. I would also appreciate if you would consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that like button and coming back again very soon. Thank you for being here. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.